No list of the most respected people of all time would be fulfilled without Sir Isaac Newton. His laws of motion are deeply connected to nearly everything we observe in daily life. They help us understand how cars operate, how baseballs fly, and essentially how anything moves. Newton, born on Christmas Day 1642 in the quiet village of Woolsthorpe Manor in Lincolnshire. His father passed away before he was born. He was born so prematurely and small that people claimed he could fit inside a quart-sized mug. His survival alone was a miracle. When he was 3 years old, Newton's world shifted again when his mother remarried and moved away to live with her new husband, a wealthy clergyman. Little Isaac was left behind, raised by his grandparents. That early rejection left a deep emotional wound, one that would silently shape the man he would become. After years, Isaac Newton sat down and made a list of his sins, one of them chillingly raw from his childhood, threatening my father and mother Smith to burn them in the house over them. It offers a glimpse into a boy who is not only deeply emotional, but also struggling with inner turmoil. Newton wasn't like other children. While others played, he was more fascinated by how things worked. At just 9 years old, he hand-carved a sundial, a clear sign of a mind already reaching for the stars. By the age of 12, when his stepfather died, his mother tried to pull him out of school to become a farmer, something Newton dreaded with all his heart, but fate intervened. A perceptive schoolmaster saw his potential and persuaded his mother to let him return to his studies. That decision changed everything. Newton earned a place at the University of Cambridge in 1661, funding his education by working as a valet, quietly laying the foundation for one of history's greatest scientific minds. Newton respected Greek thinkers, but questioned and improved on their ideas. In a notebook entry written in Latin, he reflected with quiet conviction, "Plato is my friend. Aristotle is my friend, but my best friend is truth." For Newton, truth wasn't something to be inherited. It had to be discovered, tested, and earned through relentless experimentation. After earning his bachelor's degree in 1665, disaster struck. The bubonic plague swept across Europe, claiming the lives of nearly 1 in every 4 people in London. The world was shutting down, and so was Cambridge. Forced to leave the university, Newton returned to his childhood home in Woolsthorpe, where he would spend the next 2 years in isolation. But in that solitude, something incredible happened. Away from the chaos of the world, Newton's mind flourished. He used a simple prism to unlock one of nature's secrets. White light, including sunlight, was actually made up of all the colors of the rainbow. This shattered the long-accepted belief dating back to Aristotle that color came from a mixture of black and white. Newton built a reflecting telescope, one that used mirrors instead of lenses. It offered sharper images and marked a revolution in astronomy. It was certainly safer than one of his more extreme experiments, where he famously inserted a sewing needle into his eye socket, just to understand how the shape of the eye might affect color perception. Isaac had a dog named Diamond. Isaac Newton was very fond of his dog Diamond, and legend has it that she once knocked over a candle, accidentally setting his laboratory on fire, causing a fire that destroyed important work. It is said that it took Newton over a year to rewrite all the lost work. The famous apple tree. According to legend, Newton was sitting beneath it when an apple fell and struck him on the head, sparking his theory of gravity. While there's no solid evidence the apple actually hit him, what did happen was perhaps even more extraordinary. The falling fruit planted a question in his mind that would transform our understanding of the universe. In 1684, the German mathematician Gottfried Leibniz published a groundbreaking paper on a new mathematical system, calculus. But when Newton saw it, he claimed he had discovered the same method nearly 20 years earlier. The twist? As the dispute grew, Leibniz turned to the Royal Society in London for a fair ruling. But by then, Newton was president of the society, and he used his position to tip the scales in his favor. The society sided with him, though most historians today agree that both men had developed calculus independently. By 1667, with the plague behind him, Newton returned to Cambridge. He resumed his work as a fellow, diving even deeper into the mysteries of nature. Newton was a true workaholic, so consumed by his thoughts that he'd often forget to eat. His mind was always racing, chasing questions most people hadn't even thought to ask. Remarkably, while still in his mid-20s, he was appointed to one of the most prestigious academic positions in the world, the Lucasian Professor of Mathematics, a title that would later be held by none other than Stephen Hawking, and some more by Wikipedia. But despite the honor, Newton wasn't much of a teacher. He showed little interest in his students, and his lectures were often so complex or so unpopular that sometimes no one showed up. Legend has it, on at least one occasion, he went ahead and delivered his lecture anyway to an empty room. In 1687, he unveiled his greatest work, Mathematical Principles of Natural Philosophy, better known as Principia. It would become one of the most influential scientific books ever written. This is a symbol of a mind that forever changed how we see the universe. Within its pages, Newton introduced his law of universal gravitation and his famous 3 laws of motion, concepts that still form the foundation of physics today. These weren't just scientific theories, they were a new language for understanding the physical world, a blueprint that would guide generations of scientists and explorers. That forceful reaction, the thrust from a rocket engine, is what sends it soaring skyward, and it all traces back to Newton's 3rd law. Newton spent 25 years of his life secretly studying alchemy, the ancient and mysterious quest to transform ordinary metals into gold. Among his surviving papers is a handwritten manuscript detailing a recipe believed to be a step toward creating the legendary Philosopher's Stone, the very same object that would later become famous in the Harry Potter series. But to Newton and his fellow alchemists, this wasn't just about gold. They believed the Philosopher's Stone could unlock the secrets of immortality itself. Yet the cost of these experiments may have been far greater than he imagined. Newton worked for countless hours in poorly ventilated labs, surrounded by dangerous substances. Decades after his death, tests on strands of his hair revealed high levels of mercury, a toxic metal that may have seeped into his body over years of alchemical research. Some scholars now believe this mercury exposure may have contributed to his mental breakdown in 1693, when Newton suffered a mysterious collapse and lost touch with reality. Even in his brilliance, he was vulnerable, driven by curiosity, but not immune to its risks. During his mental breakdown, Newton became increasingly paranoid. He wrote anguished letters, accusing the few friends he had of conspiring against him. He struggled with insomnia, anxiety, and what he called oppression. The crisis consumed him for over a year and a half. Not long after, he brought his 30-year academic career at Cambridge to a close. Isaac Newton passed away peacefully in his sleep on March 20th, 1727. He was laid to rest with honor in Westminster Abbey. Etched in Latin upon his tomb, "Here rests the mortal remains of Isaac Newton."